So I want to talk to you about how you need to view metabolism as a wave in the sea and not the more traditional ways that you look at it. Now, I love talking to my clients about this. One, because it just gives me an excuse to talk about when I went to Nazaré in Portugal, which was one of the best holiday experiences I've ever had. If you don't know about Nazaré, it's where they try and set the world record every year in the highest wave surfed. And I went a couple of years ago on the second biggest day of the year. The waves are crazy. And I'll put a couple of photos in here. I love to talk about it, but that's not why I'm here to tell you about my travel stories. We'll be here all day. What happens when we talk about metabolism? Most people think, Ben, I want to get in shape. What should I do? I'm just going to eat less than I need. All right, good advice. Let's go. And you seem to think that you're in total control of your metabolism. It's almost like you're saying, right, I've decided to get in shape. I'm going to drive this car from here right over there. Or maybe some people think even more rigid than that their metabolism is like a train. You just put it where you want it to go, you start it, you stop it, you're in control. This is totally wrong. The best way, and why I mentioned, surfing in a wave, is that you're not in control of your metabolism. And to think that you are is a bit of a, well, not arrogance, but it's a mistake. What the reality is, your metabolism is like a wave in the sea, and you are a surfer. And what you're trying to do is you're out in the sea and you're trying to get back into shore. That's your job. So what you want to do is you look for the right wave, you pick it up and you go on it. Now, if the wave gets too big, so it's getting bigger and bigger, what does this mean in practical terms? You're eating way under what you need. So the wave begins to get bigger and bigger. Eventually, the wave crashes down on you, chucks you off your board, and you're in the water wondering what happens. This is so essential to know because it's fundamentally different. If you think you are in charge, your metabolism is in charge of a car, you're driving it somewhere, you think, fine, I'll just go and that'll be fine, I'll just undereat. It's wrong. At some point, it'll get too much for you. And then when you fail, which is inevitable, because you haven't considered what metabolism does to your body and your cravings and so forth, you then beat yourself up, you become disheartened, and you run into that sort of cycle. So the way to look at it is, how do you keep it under control? It comes down to the undereat that you go through. So if you need, I'm just going to make numbers up, 2,000 calories a day, and you eat 1,000 calories a day, that's huge. That's a 50% undercut. You're going to lose fat very quickly. You'll see the results within 4 or 5 days. Great. But because you're not in control of your metabolism, that wave that you're riding gets bigger and bigger, and it starts looming over you and more over you. And eventually, if you keep on 1,000 calories a day when you need 2,000, you just get knocked off. It just gets too much. It could be that you can ride it until you go past a nice smelling food, then you're like, oh, forget it. You have one and then it all falls apart. It could be that you're great until you have an argument, and then you have an argument, it all falls apart, you're back in the water. For some people, it's measurements. You're going along, doing great, and then you want to be down 2 kg, you go on the scales, you're down 1.4 kg, and you're like, didn't meet your expectations, and people quit. Of course, 1.4 kg is great, but that's just not how these things happen. So many things can knock you off, and the bigger the wave, the more likelihood that you're going to be dumped in the water. So what's the better way around this? Well, the idea is just to understand that you are not in control of your metabolism. You're not driving that car or train. So you have to pick the right wave. So if you saw one, at 50% down, if you saw that come in, it's a huge wave, I wouldn't even jump on. From day one, I'm telling you, if you're doing a huge undercut, you're eating so little food, it's just not going to last. However motivated you are, it's going to get harder and harder, and eventually you will quit. Now, just a minor note or side note to that, a lot of people accidentally undereat greatly without knowing. So if you just go on a pure, and I've seen this a lot with clients, this client I was talking to specifically, this is definitely applied to her. If you go really healthy and you cut out all your bad food, you stop eating chocolates, you stop eating junk, you stop eating carbs, you stop drinking, check your calorie content. You might just find you're eating 700 calories a day, you're at 70% undercut, 60% undercut, and then you wonder why after a week or two, or even 2 days, it all falls apart. It's that you've just picked a huge wave and you've got crushed under it. So straight away, by picking more sensible things, undercuts, you'll make life a bit easier to ride that in. Obviously, another thing to look at is the duration. It's very common that you're not going to be able to just do continuous week after week after week dieting, or day after day after day. And sometimes you just need to back it off, and that is fine. To come back to the analogy, that is the difference. You're not just driving the car. You're not just going in a straight line. You're just coming off, chilling, waiting a bit, picking up the next wave going on in. And that's a big difference. And if you're quite okay with that, it makes a huge difference to your general mindset. I remember one year when I was going for a show, I lost 5 kilograms in 7 weeks, which is 11 pounds. I'm almost a stone. Then I just felt tired. I was like, can't be bothered. Took a month off, broke even for a month, came back on, did another 5 kilograms in 7 weeks. So ultimately, the end of that process, I'd done 10 kilograms, stone and a half in 18 weeks by taking 4 weeks off in the middle. That meant that it was actually quite enjoyable. It wasn't a stress. To be honest, it was very easy. If I had gone on, say, trying to get those 10 kilograms in 14 weeks, no break, that wave would have got bigger and bigger. I would have probably quit, got demoralized, not enjoyed it, and caused problems. And this will apply to you and yourself. So it's beginning to listen in and tune in to what your body is saying to you, because you will then be able to more comfortably manage it. And then a lot of this process is how you feel about yourself. Then you're okay with these things. But it's very important for you to not think you're in control of this. Think you are managing it. That's the difference, surfing to driving. And when you do that, you won't beat yourself up so much if you fail, because one of the good traits I have, obviously I'm very successful at losing body fat. I enjoy the process, but I never really beat myself up for mistakes when they happen, because I remember when I was surveying my food, I surveyed 500 days of food intake over a few years, over 2 years, 2.5 years, something like that. And what I noticed was the lower my lowest day of any the lowest my calorie intake in any particular day for a month was, the higher the rebound was too. So on a month where, say, the lowest day in any one day was 2,700 calories, the most I ever ate that month was 3,300 calories. So a very small difference. On a month where I ate, say, 1,500 calories in a day, my highest would be like 5,000 in a day. And it was about this midline. So, a little bit under, a little bit over, a little bit under, a lot over. And that's when I began to realize, hey, a lot of this stuff isn't about me, my motivation. A lot of this stuff is purely nutritional based, intake based, and the response from it. So I'm a lot more forgiving to myself when things go wrong. It's the same thing. If you fell off while surfing, do you blame the wave or do you blame yourself? Well, if it was a huge wave, you probably blame the wave and not yourself. And that's a very different place to be in how you feel emotionally about the process. So that's what I want to say. Ask yourself, how do you view metabolism, losing body fat? Do you feel you're in charge, you're driving it all? Do you feel it's more all over the place? Do you feel you're in a hurricane and the waves are too crazy? Comment below, let me know how you feel, and then think about what you can do going forward with this as a premise.